to our movie chat for June. I always forget what month we're in. And we're chatting about 12 Monkeys from 1995, which I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching. It's very, very warm here in the UK. The UK is not built for this heat, so I am hugging the fan. I've got Cherry in front of me, and on lock. So she's got some air and stuff. So I think she's enjoying the fan, to be honest. Right, who have I added in? Josh? Hi, Josh!
Hello.
I was like rambling. I was like, who have I added in?
It's me.
Oh, let's add Emma in.
Melting. I'm sure we're all melting.
Gosh, why is it so warm?
So
We're just not built for this heat.
I know. I'm so sorry for my cat. He's just
Oh
sort of
no,
like draped.
Cherry's like draped in front.
Hello.
So if you hear,
Hello.
hi Emma,
Hello.
hello Emma. Oh no, Emma. Are you there? Are you there? Are you there? Clem Fandango
Hello.
calling.
Hello. Can you see
Emma?
us?
Emma can't see us. I'm just going to add Beck in.
Oh, she's frozen.
Oh, Emma! She'll be back.
Yeah.
Emma said that you was going to be in a swimming pool, live from the swimming pool.
I wish.
Oh dear, right. Oh dear, Emma is very frozen, and
Yeah.
Beck should be here. But we're going to be chatting 12 Monkeys at some point.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Sharon's put, hey, hot enough. And it's repeated it like 3 times, so you're very, very warm, Sharon.
Do you think everyone's modems are just melting down?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Oh dear, right.
Can you hear my fan? Is it too loud?
No, I can hear it a bit, but not bad. But I've got mine right next to me as well.
Cool.
I'm wondering if someone in the comments can let us know if you can see and hear us. That'd be good.
Are we here?
Are we here?
Do we exist?
We try and add Beck in again.
From the future.
Right. Let me try again. Can anyone hear us? Oh, Beck, it says you're unable to join.
Oh.
Are you on a phone or a tablet? It won't work off a laptop for some strange random reason. It might just be us two, Josh.
Yay! Oh, Claire can see and hear
Claire,
us.
yeah, and Karen.
Okay.
Oh, starting to think.
We are here.
Oh, Sharon says she can't hear the fans. Oh, that's good then.
Oh, good, thank you.
Because Cherry's an indoor cat. Like, we have the window. Oh, she's just looked up at me like, what? We have the windows like on lock, and obviously when she's out of the room, we can shut the door and open the windows, but she's decided to sit right in front of me. Right, Emma's put, I am here. Let me add Emma in. There we go. Fingers crossed. It's the heat. It
really
just does weird things to everybody. Emma?
Hello.
Oh.
I
Are you okay?
either of you, but I'm here. You can hear me, right?
Oh, you can't see us.
No,
oh,
no. You can hear me though, yeah?
Yes. We can hear you. Right, I just tried Beck again. It was having problems connecting. I think it's the heat, Emma. Like, the heat is just melting everything.
Yeah. It just like really weird, and then just threw me out, and I was like, oh.
Hi, Beck.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you for joining us. I was just saying, I think the heat is just melting everything and making everything not work today. Yeah, Sharon says it's the heat.
I can only see you.
You can only
Although when
me.
Yeah, when I was just watching, I did just see the other guys, but now I can only see you.
There's a bit of a weird glitch on Instagram. We thought we'd fixed it, but it seems to just keep coming back, so we might just have to go with it. But for you can only see me.
You can
Sorry.
see the post, that's fine.
I can't see anyone.
Hi, Beck.
Oh, can you see Beck?
No,
Emma?
no.
Oh,
At least we can't hear each other.
Oh, we'll have to go with it. Yeah, I'm loving the stubble, Josh.
Such a mess. Oh dear.
Oh, but thank you for joining us. So we're going to be chatting about 12 Monkeys from 1995. And obviously my glamorous guests are my brilliant movie co-host Josh Winning and Emma Pullar, and also our special guest this month is Beck from This Girl Loves Horror on Instagram. And Beck does some like fab reviews and always tempts me into watching like films that I've never heard of as well. And Beck is also one half of the Girl and the Gay podcast, which I do love listening to. You guys are just great, so much fun. So I'll pop some links up after, but do check them out. It's brilliant. But yeah, so 12 Monkeys then. So set in a post-apocalyptic future. This isn't going to go well tonight. I'm just going to warn you all. My brain is not working.
We're all fried from
Yeah.
We're like Bruce Willis in 1996.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis's bottom.
Oh, Chelley!
Twice.
Twice.
I said to Carl, imagine it having that on your CV, like I scrubbed Bruce Willis's
Yes.
Oh, I'm just sad I didn't apply for that job. Like, I would have been good at it. Would have succeeded at something in life. Oh dear. So yeah, so set in a post-apocalyptic future devastated by disease, the film follows a convict who is sent back in time to gather information about the man-made virus that wiped out most of the human population on the planet, supposedly by a group called the Army of the 12 Monkeys. So I looked at why they were called the Army of 12 Monkeys. So apparently it's inspired by a passage in L. Frank Baum's novel The Magic of Oz, in which the Gnome King and Kiki convinced 12 monkeys that they will have an endless supply of food if they become human soldiers for them, which I thought was quite interesting. I was like, oh, I like that thing.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't know that.
So I've put here as well, starring Bruce Willis and Bruce Willis's bottom, and Brad Pitt and Brad Pitt's bottom.
That's right. Bottoms all round.
Madeline Stowe.
monkeys.
I know. So the film was released in December 1995, at least it was in the US. It received positive reviews from the critics and grossed over 168.8 million worldwide against a 29 million budget, which is just like
Massive.
phenomenal, really. It definitely made its money back. And apparently Bruce Willis took a lower salary than his star status at the time, because he really wanted to work with the director, Terry Gilliam. Hope I'm saying that right. So he practically worked for free, and he only really got paid after the movie got released. So I kind of like that.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. So was 12 Monkeys then a first time watch for you, or have you seen it before, or what are your memories from first watching it, Emma?
I've seen it quite a few times actually. I love it. It's one of my favourites. Yeah. So I saw it when I was a teenager. I didn't see it in the cinema. My husband maintains that he did. But I don't know whether I was old enough to see it in the cinema. I can't remember when it was. It 96 when it came out.
95. Well, 95. Yeah, 95, 96. Yeah.
So it might have been a 15. I can't remember what ratings were on it back then. But I saw it. I got it out of Blockbuster, and I've watched it lots of times. Yeah, memories. I watched it lots of times since. I just think it's such a brilliant concept, such a well executed film. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. How about you, Josh? Have you seen it before?
I'd seen it once before as a teenager. It was kind of back in the days of like the early days of the internet, when you discovered films that you had to watch through what people were writing about on the internet. And 12 Monkeys was held up as one of these like classics of dystopian sci-fi cinema. So
yeah,
I remember like seeking it out as a teenager and absolutely loving it, and then never watching it again. So this was like my second watch ever, and I'd pretty much forgotten everything about it. So it was cool to go back to it.
Oh, how about you, Beck? Have you seen it before?
Yes, I grew up watching this one. My mum was a fan of all the like 80s, 90s action stars. So we had all the Bruce Willis movies, all the stars. So yeah, I watched it quite often, but I think when I watched it, it was a while before I watched it again as an adult. And I watched watched it, and I remember being really confused and thinking, "There's no way I understood that when I was younger." I was just watching it for the actors. It was
That's fair.
but, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I think I did see it at the cinema. I'm sure me and my friend went to see it. And for some reason at the time, considering I was probably like 15 at the time, like I probably didn't understand all of it. But yeah, for some reason I liked it. I bought it on DVD, so I must have liked it.
Yeah.
But saying that, I would class it. I've obviously watched it before, like again since the cinema, but I would say this is probably my second full watch. And I still enjoyed it the second time round as well. I did really enjoy it. Got some questions on the end. You know what I'm like. So we'll see. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I just thought like Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt's performances in this, and Madeline Stowe, just phenomenal, all of them. Really, really good. I saw Matthew say, I'll have to go back. I must have missed Brad Pitt's backside. Yeah, he does like a cheeky pull of the trousers, doesn't he? Down at the psychiatric unit. Claire said first time watch for her. Milena said first time watch for me. Milena said this is the first film where I actually enjoyed Brad Pitt's acting. Interesting.
Not Interview with the Vampire? Not.
Yeah.
No, Seven.
Seven. He's really good in
Fight Club.
Seven.
Yeah.
Oh, Fight Club.
Yeah, Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
Oh. Matthew said it was bittersweet watching Bruce Willis. He was such a powerhouse actor in the 90s, and to think about how his illness has taken such a toll on him now. It's so sad. Like I was thinking that very much when I was watching it. Oh, the cat's moving. Don't, not my stuff. But I was thinking about that. Bye. You're going. I was thinking about that a lot when I was watching it as well, and it's like gets you a little bit emotional, really, because he was such a powerhouse. He really was.
It crossed my mind watching it this time as well. Just watching him do all the action stuff and just thinking about it. I was like,
definitely.
And it's especially sad when you see like Demi Moore is like her star is back on the ascendant after the subsequent, and you just think,
oh, bless him. Matthew said, I watched it in the 90s, rented it on video cassette when it came out. I totally forgotten this film. Not even Bruce Willis's backside and things like that usually stick with me. It was weird because like I didn't remember much. But when I put it on, it all came back to me. Like I was like, "Oh, I remember. Like,
I know that.
Do you remember this?" Yes, I recognise that button. Matthew said we should do Seven at some point, and Sharon said Brad Pitt makes me want to vomit. Sharon,
no! I was in love with Brad Pitt when I was a teenager. Oh my gosh!
So, oh dear. So when Emma and I were chatting, because Emma kindly helped me with some questions, because last night my brain was fried and I just couldn't think of anything. And I was like, Emma, give me some help, please. So Emma kindly helped me. But we was chatting about that, you know, Emma mentioned that she didn't fully get the movie on the first time watch. And as she's got older, it's obviously added a layer with the pandemic occurring. It kind of hit home a lot harder there. And obviously during the pandemic, the animals were roaming free whilst we were all locked away. So did you understand the premise of the film on the first watch, or has it become much clearer now you've seen it again, Josh?
I think I did get it in the first watch, but I think watching it a second time, there are things that I noticed, or there were things that I sort of started to think about maybe more deeply than I did the first time around. So things like the inevitability of fate, like are we just trapped in a set course, or it's the paradox, isn't it? Because he kind of, if he hadn't gone back, then none of this stuff that we saw necessarily would have happened. Because he influenced Brad Pitt's character and all this kind of stuff. So I think it definitely is a film that rewards repeat viewing, and you can almost sort of take your own meaning from it slightly, because the film doesn't really tell you exactly what you're supposed to think.
Yeah.
It gives you room to sort of come up with your own questions and answers.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bit like Donnie Darko. Every
Yeah.
time I
Oh
watch
yeah.
that film, I think something completely different each time, which is like amazing, really amazing writing. How about you, Beck? Did you understand the premise? You mentioned you didn't quite understand it the first time. Did it become more clearer on the second watch?
I'm not convinced that I'm 100%, but definitely it's one, the more times you watch it, the more you seem to understand it. But I'm terrible with like movies involving different timelines. They really confuse me. I'm not gonna lie. So
no, I get like
the
that.
better, but
Yeah,
to be honest, it's still good even if you don't understand it all too well.
Yeah, definitely. I get like that quite a lot with like sci-fi stuff. I just get a little bit confused, and especially when there's like alternate timelines and things. I'm like, I just don't. I get Kev to explain it to me, and then it all becomes clear. Oh, and how about you, Emma? Did you feel like it made more sense on this watch?
I think as a teenager, it all goes a bit over your head. And the gravity of it, as Josh was saying, like with like the film The Butterfly Effect and things like that, the paradox, as Josh was saying, it didn't quite when I first watched it connect all the dots, and then when I watched it again I was like, okay. And then I watch a lot of sci-fi, a lot of time travel, so a lot of it I'm like, well, no, because that won't work, you see, because this would happen, the universe would explode, stuff like that. So so I think, but watching it this time round was a whole new level. Oh my gosh, because of the pandemic I just went, oh wow, stop it. And I was like, I know what happens, but I was like, stop him. It was the gravity of it. I was just like, oh, I know what happens, but why am I screaming for him to get him? Because we know how that can actually happen. But back then when I was a teenager, that's not even plausible, and that's what I like about sci-fi. That's the people make things up, writers make things up, and then some of them come true. And you're just like, oh my god.
It definitely, I totally agree, it just added a whole new layer of meaning, like knowing that we've had a pandemic, we've been through a pandemic, lost people due to the pandemic, and it just puts a whole new level on it, and like makes it quite emotionally charged as well, doesn't it, really? Like amazing, really.
And it made me quite wistful for like 1995, where things weren't great for a lot of people in the world, but we weren't living through a pandemic in the Western world, so it's kind of it's got a weird nostalgia to it.
Yeah, it did make me nostalgic for the 90s as well. I was like, oh, what a different world it was back then in some ways. Definitely. So Emma, you mentioned like you like sci-fi, so you're a fan of sci-fi in general. What draws you to like sci-fi then?
Well, my dad was a big sci-fi nerd. I mean, I've watched so much Star Trek, I can't do that anymore. But but he watched every sci-fi, so B movies, anything, people with cardboard boxes on their heads pretending to be robots. He watched, or a dustbin or whatever. He watched the whole lot, Doctor Who, everything. So I was exposed to that at a very young age, and so I think that's what gave me a love for it.
Yeah, sorry, my doorbell just went off. If you heard a noise,
do you need to go and get it?
No, Kev's downstairs. I love that was like your dad's influence, and now you love sci-fi as well. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. How about you, Beck? Do you watch a lot of sci-fi, or are you not a huge fan of sci-fi?
Not one of my favourites, but there are some films that I do love that you'd class as sci-fi. To me, whenever I think sci-fi, it makes me think of alien movies. Although I know it doesn't just cover those, but it's not
that's good.
one I would automatically go to over others. And like I said, I grew up more on action, horror, romantic comedies.
Yeah.
So sci-fi is kind of a last pick for me. But
yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. I always go to the sci-fi last, which is like,
Wow.
I've probably missed so many brilliant films just because I don't even know why. I just like, I'm like, I think it's because I get confused like really easily, and like sometimes it just confuses me so much that I just can't then concentrate. I don't know whether that makes sense or not, or it's just that I haven't watched enough good sci-fi to enjoy it. That's probably what it is. How about you, Josh? Are you a sci-fi fan?
I'm similar to Emma in that I think my dad is also like a massive sort of sci-fi nerd, and so we did grow up renting the new Star Trek films from the video shop. And my dad was instrumental in sort of taking me to video shops as a kid, which is where I discovered all my favourite fantasy films like Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal. But growing up, my dad was definitely very keen to watch sci-fi and go to the cinema, and we watched The Matrix in the cinema when it came out.
Me too.
Yeah, it was, oh my God, that was like a mind-blowing cinema trip.
Oh, wow.
But I kind of feel the same way about sci-fi that I feel about high fantasy stories. So I don't really have any interest necessarily in reading high fantasy or sci-fi. But I do love watching high fantasy and sci-fi. So I love the Lord of the Rings films, but I would never read the Lord of the Rings book. And I think it's because I think I enjoy the cinematic language of sci-fi, but I don't necessarily enjoy that sort of very technical, literary version of sci-fi. So for me, sci-fi is cinematic, not literary.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I definitely, because I really struggle reading fantasy or high fantasy, especially. I just can't do it. I've tried, I just can't do it.
There are two types of sci-fi. So you have in the literary scene, just bookseller. There are two types. So I think the problem is with it is you don't know, and I'd love to chop the books into a little more easier for people to find, because you've got your hard sci-fi, your Philip K. Dick, you've got all that Pratchett and that hard sci-fi and high fantasy as well, and they're very in depth, and the sci-fi is technical, as Josh says, and the fantasy is really, really involved, like they'll tell you every little detail, whereas then you've got something like romantasy, which is very light and airy, and then you've got like light sci-fi as well, which is also not so heavy on the technology or the technical speak, so you're not sort of drowning in stuff you don't understand, and I think there's distinct ones, and I think you might enjoy the lighter ones rather than the really heavy, because it does feel like a slog. I don't read a lot of hard sci-fi. Sometimes I do, and I don't read a lot of high fantasy either. Exactly for the same reasons that you guys have said.
But it is that, it's for me, it's like the lighter side of sci-fi. I like Doctor Who, for example, I enjoy, but if it goes too sci-fi, I do struggle to follow along, and then I have to get Kev to explain it to me. But like, so most of the episodes are like quite light, and I can go along with that because it's light sci-fi. And the same with 12 Monkeys, there's something in this that just makes it not too heavy on the sci-fi, because it's like dashed with the thriller element, so that's why I think it clicked with me. So like kind of that, like it explains it rather than like making it difficult to understand.
Accessible.
Kind of. So yeah, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. Emma's got me.
I think having sort of like an A-list Hollywood cast probably makes it more accessible as well, because you're naturally sort of endeared to these actors already, so you kind of want to see what they're going to go through in this weird grungy sci-fi world.
Yeah, that's so true. I saw Claire put, I don't understand why so Bruce Willis's character captured and ate the spider. So I just took it was because he was in the future, he was collecting samples, so we found this sample and he was like, didn't know where to put it, so he just went and ate it.
He tells when he's back in, is he in the hospital bed or he's being questioned again back in the future, he does say, I found a spider, I didn't know where to put it, so I ate it. And she's like, okay, you're losing your mind.
He's losing it a little bit.
Matthew said, I take the French and Saunders seventh seal approach to films like this. We'll just get through it now and read something to explain it later. Yeah, I do that. I do that quite often.
That's the good side of the internet. There's always something out there.
Yeah.
Or someone you can talk to about it.
Yeah. Exactly, like chats like this. Like, I'm guarantee you by the end, I'll be like, oh, okay.
12 monkeys, right?
Yeah. Sharon said, I'm the same, Emma. If it's illogical, it drives me mad. So I think I just got a little bit behind.
Yeah.
Sharon said, sci-fi is my second fave after horror. Mine was from my granddad's love of Doctor Who and Star Trek. See, Kev loves Star Trek. There's always Star Trek going on downstairs all the time. Matthew said, my complaint with sci-fi that there are so many CGI and special effects that it distracts Matthew. So if there's too much noise and bells and whistles, I just tune out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Practical effects, please.
Yeah, definitely. Melina said, I enjoy the dystopian side of sci-fi. Yeah. Sharon says she met Carl through sci-fi. We even had the Doctor Who theme play us out on our wedding day. Oh,
that's so good.
Me and Kev had a Doctor Who song on our wedding day. Not the actual theme song, but a song, one of the pieces of music from Doctor Who. Claire said, I love fantasy books, Claire said. I love Doctor Who and some sci-fi. Matthew said, I read a lot of fantasy when I was a teenager, but as an adult, I've switched to mystery and horror 90% of the time, and history non-fiction. And Sharon said, I love the high-tech, high fantasy reads.
I knew you would.
Hussein said, I now want to read Seize the Night by Dean Koontz. I always struggle with Dean Koontz books. Maybe maybe I need to like give him another go. Try, but I've always struggled. So obviously the scenes set in the future, so after the virus has destroyed humanity, manifest like quite a unique signature look for the film. So it's kind of like steampunk, which is basically like futuristic technology made to look like older technology that's been reworked and made to look new, but retaining like an old look. So did using the steampunk elements for the future scenes work for you? Like, do you think that works well together with sci-fi? Josh?
I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, like I'm thinking about The Matrix again, when you see behind the scenes of The Matrix and it's basically just a bunch of people hooked up to scary wires submerged in gooey tanks. So I love that sort of grungy tactile element to sci-fi. And I think I think it adds a real sense of realism to it, where if it's too shiny like Star Trek, it starts to feel sort of quite unrealistic, or you kind of want sci-fi to feel lived in, I think. Well, I suppose it depends what kind of story you're telling, but that was the thing that I loved about Firefly, the TV series, was that their ship was kind of like a piece of shit that kept falling apart, and then it's like an absolute clunker. And it's like, it's relatable, because like, how often do we get really, really annoyed at our technology? Pretty much on a daily basis.
Like now.
Exactly, right now.
Like at the start of the chat. Yeah, that's so true. How about you, Beck? Did you like the steampunk look of the future?
Yeah, I love it, and it's just not that it hasn't aged well, but just it's so different to what we see when we see anything set in the future these days. It never looks, very rarely looks like that. It's always very technology, very advanced, very CGI usually as well. But yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was really cool, and I noticed it this time. I don't think it's something I don't know if
Yeah.
I really picked up on before, but yeah, I noticed.
Yeah.
This it did make me. There were little things that kept making me chuckle, but I liked it. So
Yeah. Some of the set pieces were brilliant, like that big round board and with
Yeah.
the things on. Oh, it
yeah,
was so
when you
cool.
look through the magnifying glass.
Yeah. It was so cool. Oh, how about you, Emma? Did you like the steampunk element? Is that something that you like normally?
Yeah, I love steampunk. Like Josh, I really think and Beth, I think it's great. I think it does really well for dystopian. It's good for that genre. Um, I think Chris said to me, and I don't know if this is right because I didn't look it up. I just believe anything my husband says. Anyway, he said that the director also did Time Bandits.
Yeah.
So if
Ah.
that's true, it feels right because obviously it's got a similar kind of that dark feeling to it, that dark edge. And so I love Time Bandits, and this and I like the aesthetic of this as well. Like if you're living underground, it's going to be kind of sepia, kind of dirty, gross. The technology is not going to be that great. It's going to be a bit rubbish because obviously the virus went off in 1997, six.
Yeah,
90,
something like that, wasn't it?
somewhere around there, mid-90s. And so by the time it's wiped everybody out, they wouldn't have had any really great technology. They would have had to scupper bits together and like cobble them together, a bit like Star Wars. You know, they've got like bits of old rubbish on some planets, and some planets are really shiny, you know, so you can see how that could happen, how you could not have the most advanced thing because the human race is all underground. Where are they getting, you know, the advanced tech from? So and all that kind of weird stuff cobbled together, I think that was that looked like it could be real.
Yeah. And I loved the simplicity of the suit, obviously going up to the real world of just, in fact, that's what I feel like now in like one of them plastic suits, like with the heat. But it was just so simplistic. It just looked like a big bubble of like plastic. You know, they weren't in like these, like you imagine them to be in like the yellow hazmat things and stuff like that. I don't know, I just love the simplicity of it and the little tube in the mouth for the air and stuff. I just thought that was really great as well. Melina said love steampunk. Shaman said love the grunge. Matthew said, I like the steampunk element too. The big ball of monitors with faces that looked like an old typewriter letterpiece was really cool. Sharon says, Firefly was so good. I'm sure Kevin's watched that at some point. I haven't seen that. And I've never seen The Matrix, just FYI.
What?
I know.
What? Chelley! Holy crap! Oh my god! Chelley!
Good timing, Beck.
Oh dear. Chelley, you must correct that straight away. No, don't only watch number one. Don't watch the others. They're not great. Just number one. It's standalone.
Okay. I will. I'm gonna give it a go.
Oh my
I'm like,
god, watch it. You'll love it.
Yeah, I think I did try. Like, I know all the like woohoo stuff, but that's about it. And I know it's got Keanu Reeves in. That's it. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh
my god!
Shaman
We need to do like a sci-fi Matrix special because no one's seen it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We totally do.
Speed Rachel said I haven't seen The Matrix either. Claire said I love The Matrix. Shaman goes, Shelley. Yeah, movie chat. Melina hasn't seen The Matrix. Oh, I feel better now. It's not just me.
Oh my god, it was such a big movie. I thought everybody saw it in the cinema.
Oh dear. Matthew said he'd forgotten all about Time Bandits.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think
My favourite.
I've seen that either.
Oh my god, I'm gonna die.
I don't think Becky, you haven't seen it either. No, so it's not just me. I know. I told you my sci-fi is very limited.
Time Bandits, Chelley, is a masterpiece. You must watch that. That is a masterpiece.
You're gonna have to send
Absolutely
me like a
love
list of stuff that you think that I would like, and then I'll watch it. Matthew says, where do they manufacture the plastic suits if they have to live underground? Yeah.
Mhm.
Good point.
Yeah,
Just
scavenging for them, I guess. I don't know.
scavenging.
I mean,
Get the
there's plenty
prisoners
of
pitching off.
plastic lying around, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Matthew said The Matrix was definitely one I tuned out on because of all of the CGI and special effects. Sorry. Oh dear.
Oh, no.
It was quite cutting edge, though.
It was. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know.
It was
Well,
for
I'm
the time.
going it was.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely.
Like,
Everyone
yeah.
did bullet time. Buffy did bullet time after The Matrix. Charm did
Yeah.
bullet time after The Matrix.
We all did it. We all did
We all
that.
did it.
That's probably why I know that. Like. Oh dear. Melina says, Shelley, we could watch it together and totally confuse ourselves. Yeah. Claire's not seen Time Bandits even. And
Oh,
Sharon
wow,
said
do
Time
watch it.
Bandits is elite. We're going to have to do like a
It
couple of
is.
sci-fi specials.
Has some great actors in Time Bandits as well. So yeah.
Ah. I'm going to definitely check it out now. So obviously, Bruce Willis, as we mentioned, was cast in the film, and Terry Gilliam gave Bruce Willis a list of Willis's acting cliches not to be used during the film, including his steely blue-eyed look, which I think he does do in the car scene. He does give those eyes a little bit, so I think he got away with that one. So obviously we mentioned, we're fans of Bruce Willis, but do you think he succeeded in not using those cliches? Like, did he pull it off, Josh?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's believably sort of beaten and messed up and sort of struggling, and I think he's brilliant in it. You really feel that confusion and desperation that he's going through. And actually he becomes less interesting the more he kind of gets with the doctor. And like when it becomes more of a romance, I actually found it less interesting. Or it was less it was quite predictable, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, okay, they're going to do a romance now, fine. But in the very the first half of the film, I would say he's sort of almost unrecognizable as Bruce Willis, because he hasn't got any of those Willisisms at all, I don't think.
Yeah. How about you, Beck? You've watched a lot of Bruce Willis films, so did he manage to not use any of his cliches? Which I like his cliches too.
Yeah, I love that. I love the whole yippee-ki-yay and Bruce Willis. But yeah, I think he did an absolute brilliant job in this. You could think it wasn't Bruce Willis, like it was that good. It did make me laugh. I don't know if any of you heard the line where he says, "All I see are dead people," and obviously it just made me think. And I was like,
I noticed
so that was like a little inside joke putting that in there. But like in the Sixth Sense, obviously, because this came before. But no, I think he did a fantastic job, and even the action bits where he was fighting and stuff, like you say, you could see it was just out of sheer desperation, and just because of the situation he was in, it wasn't like a macho action.
It was. Yeah, that's true. Actually, he did come across, like, even in those scenes, like where he's like, killing people and whatever. It wasn't like his normal style of action hero, like you say. It was literally his survival, and that's how it kind of came across as well. So
whenever he was being violent, you weren't being invited to think it was really cool. You were just kind of thinking he's doing this to get out of it, and it's really quite grubby and horrible, and he accidentally kills a bunch of people.
Goes a bit too far.
And Beck, did you enjoy the romance aspect of it as well, or would you just rather that not have happened?
I didn't mind it at all. I mean, I loved Madeleine Stowe in this. I think she was brilliant. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You could see that's where it was obviously going to go. And it was just a bit, I mean, watching it now, I was a bit like, would that really happen? Was she getting the whole like, I can change him, I can save him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, really? Would you fall for that guy doing all these things? But yeah, I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about you, Emma? Did you like Bruce Willis in this? Did you like the romance aspect?
I did. I like, my favourite Bruce Willis obviously is 12 Monkeys and The Fifth Element. They're my favourite things that he's done. Oh my God! Shelley, stop!
Don't stop saying that.
Stop! Shelley! Right, I'm coming to your house and we're going to have a sci-fi marathon.
Whoa!
That's it. But it's yay! Popcorn. But yeah, no, I think he did really well. And as Josh was saying, like, it wasn't like cool. He wasn't being the cool guy. He was definitely being a desperate guy. I do like romance in my sci-fi. I like romance in my fantasy. I don't like straight romance, so I'm not a romantic comedy person. Although I do watch The Holiday with Chris every year because that's his favourite. But I don't normally like romance unless it's in something like horror or sci-fi or anything like that. But I didn't feel like this was a romance at all. I felt like it was a trauma bond.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get any romantic vibes from it whatsoever. I felt like they were both so traumatized by everything they were realizing and going through that they just bonded. And I think that's kind of almost a natural thing to do in like a stressful anxiety situation, that two people that probably wouldn't ever bother with each other just go plunk, you know, and cling to each other. So that's what I was getting from it. But as if it was pitched as a romance, I would say it wasn't very good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was more like trauma bonds than a romance. Yeah, it's like, and more like, yeah, she just became in awe of him, I thought, as well. Like, as soon as she started believing him, like, she just became not infatuated, but just in awe of what he is there to do and things like that. And I didn't mind it. And Madeline Stowe's just gorgeous, and yeah, she
adorable.
Really well.
Yeah, she did a really good job.
Yeah.
Definitely.
She probably had the hardest.
Oh, sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
She probably had the hardest role in the film, because she has to go from like a doctor who doesn't believe him at all to then, you know, over the course of the film, realizing he's telling the truth. So she did an amazing job in this film.
Yeah, she did. Definitely. And I love that scene at the start when she's got that little short skirt on with the high heels and she just strolls on into like the I don't know what it was, prison or whatever, just past all the prisoners and stuff, like, and she just like, yeah, look at my gorgeous legs. Yeah, I love that. Claire said his acting oddly reminds me of his maniac moments in Death Becomes Her. Oh, I love Death Becomes Her.
Oh, yes, I do like Death Becomes Her. That's a great point.
And it wasn't maniac, it was manic. Sorry, I misread it, but his manic moments in Death Becomes Her. Yeah, he's so good in that. Melena said, I thought Bruce's vulnerability was really believable. Yeah. Speedway Chick said, yeah, I didn't believe the romance aspect. And Shaman said the romance part was not needed. Matthew said some of the Willis-isms. It's looking I said that slow.
Almost, Jenny.
Almost. Are so endearing though. Yeah, definitely. Claire said, I don't think the romance was needed in the film. Oh, interesting. And Matthew said, I agree, Claire. When you're trying to save the human race, it seems like romance would be a bit distracting. But they didn't really like kiss until right at the end at the airport, did they? So, Claire said not seen Fifth Element either. Sharon said Fifth Element is his best film, one of my top 10 movies. Sharon said, I need to watch that. Matthew said this made me want to watch Fifth Element again. I don't remember a lot about it, but I know I really enjoyed it when I watched it way back then. Melena said, yeah, Emma, trauma bond is what I thought. And Speed Rating said, I think 1 minute Dr. Riley, I don't know whether that's how we pronounce the surname, was being professional when they went full throttle really quickly with James. Yeah, definitely. She was like, I can't miss this opportunity to snog
Yeah.
I nearly said Brad Pitt then, but either will do. So talking about Brad Pitt just really quickly. So obviously he was signed up to this film on a relatively small salary. He was still an upcoming actor at the time, because by the time the movie came out, obviously he'd done Interview with the Vampire, Legends of the Fall, Seven. So I'm presuming this film was filmed before he filmed those. It just took a long time to come out. And Terry Gilliam was afraid that Brad Pitt wouldn't be able to pull off the nervous, rapid speech, and he sent him to a speech coach, but in the end he just took away Brad Pitt's cigarettes and Pitt played the part perfectly. So what did you think of Brad Pitt's performance, Beth?
Oh, brilliant. Loved him. It's one of my favourite things about this film is his performance. I think he did it perfectly well. Very believable, funny, brilliant. How
we remembered those speeches and stuff was amazing. Those monologues. So good.
Like you say, the way he comes out with it, the speed, and even just his actions and everything he's doing, and he's very believable as a complete and utter nutter.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Josh?
Amazing.
Oh, I think he was really good in this.
Yeah,
really, really good. How about you, Josh?
I think that the energy that he brings to it is really necessary, or like it changes what the film would have been if it had been somebody else, because although a lot of those early scenes, Bruce Willis is sort of out of it and confused and trapped, and so he's in that asylum for like half an hour of the film, which is quite a long time. So if it had just been him, I don't think it would have been anywhere near as effective without having that sort of like babbling character who was just like a nervous ball of energy, who actually is quite useful, and he sort of helps him out, and
he does.
He's great, and it's good to see Brad Pitt doing something different. Like I remember Leo DiCaprio talking about how he found it really difficult post Titanic because he was like the pretty boy, and he's much happier now because he's outgrown the pretty boy characters, and he's playing much meatier roles, and you can kind of feel Brad Pitt pushing back against that kind of typecasting as early as this. He'd only been like, I count Thelma and Louise as his like breakout role. So that was in 1990, so this is 5 years into his career.
Definitely.
So he's brilliant.
How about you, Emma? Did you like him?
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. He is someone that can just turn into somebody else. Like Josh says, he is pretty, but I just feel like every role that he puts himself into, he becomes that character. I just think he's an amazing actor, and I loved Jeffrey as a character. Oh my god, what a cool character! But what he was saying, although he was manic and he had a crazy eye and all that stuff, I think that must have been did they stick that in his eye?
Apparently he wore hand-painted contact lenses to achieve the look.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It made a whole different dimension to his face. You know what I'm like? I love like a snaggletooth and a strange thing going on in the face. I don't like symmetry at all.
That's why Emma loves me.
I do love you, Chelley. I think you're gorgeous. So no symmetry for me. So I thought that made him even more interesting. And so but what he was actually saying, the words coming out of his mouth weren't insane. He was saying about, games and things making us, zombies, and he was saying about consumerism, if you don't buy a lot of things. He was talking about germs, and, I'm a firm believer in kids go get dirty, don't worry about, go out in the mud, whatever, don't worry about it. Obviously wash your hands after you go to the toilet, but it doesn't matter if you get a bit of mud, here and there. But he was saying really smart things. He was like, free the animals. He was like, everything he said was actually sane.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
Very intelligent.
very clever, sort of twisting it about to see whether or not you think he's insane or whether or not you agree with what he says, even though he's saying it in a manic way.
Yeah,
it's a bit
that's
like,
so true.
are you really listening? Kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I know when I was chatting with Emma, you mentioned, so I think it was one of Brad Pitt's monologues that he talks about movies. And, you know, every time you watch a movie, you see something different, but it's the same movie, obviously, every time. So, and 12 Monkeys is definitely, it demands that from a rewatch, definitely. So what are your thoughts? Do you rewatch movies often and spot different things on rewatches, Emma?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I watch. I'm somebody who watches things over and over. Like The Fifth Element, I must have seen it 10 times. I must have watched it 10 times. I love that movie, and there's lots of movies that I've watched like over and over because I think they're so cleverly done that I just can't stop watching them. And recently I've discovered that if you watch something in HD, you will actually see things that you didn't see on the first watch because it's clearer. Like there's in The Lost Boys, there's like darkness, and you can see things coming that you couldn't see before because it was too dark. You know, like the campfire scene. So I'm a fan. Rewatch it in HD. Rewatch things in HD, please. See even more.
But funny enough, that's what on the Charm chats that me and Josh do. We've been watching it on like Blu-ray. Basically because they took the music licensing away on streaming, and it's not the same without music. However, you can see like things so pristine, like you can see they tried to cover up Alyssa Milano's tattoo on her shoulder, and you can see it clear as day on the Blu-ray. I'm like,
I've noticed that with we are rewatching Frasier, and it's all in like it's all high def now, and some of the props are so obviously just like bits of tape stuck onto a book, and you
Brilliant.
can't hide it anymore.
Oh, I love that. So, are you a fan of rewatches then, Josh, as well?
I'm blessed with a terrible memory, so I can rewatch stuff endlessly, and I'll be endlessly surprised.
I love that.
But I tend to rewatch films that will reward your attention. So, I mean, I rewatched Labyrinth last weekend for, I'm going to say, you know, the
10 millionth
time. And I still noticed something new this time that was just like a little thing hidden in the corner. And I was like, oh shit, I've never seen that before.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's what you say. Like, if you get a reward from rewatching in that respect, it's definitely definitely. I think
that's probably why. That's probably why sort of murder mysteries are so enjoyable to rewatch, because then you can pick up on all the clues. And I think 12 Monkeys has a lot of little breadcrumbs that you can actually pick up along the way.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Beck? Do you like rewatching films or TV shows?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Many a TV show is on repeat. I'm just rewatching House now because it's just come on Netflix. But I'll rewatch anything, especially all my favourites. I'll just watch as many times. And like you say, I love it when you pick up new things. But I'll even rewatch, like, for example, I really didn't like Hereditary when it came out. Like, really didn't like it. But because so many people were saying how good it was, I decided to give it a rewatch like a couple of years later and absolutely loved it. So I think you've definitely got to rewatch and try again. And picking up on things is the best bit. And like understanding things better the more you watch them. Like when we did Us last time I joined you. Obviously I wasn't that a huge fan of that when I first watched it, but I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And then watching it more and then talking to you guys as well about it, making me understand it even more. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. Like sometimes I can like watch something and then just definitely I'm like, oh, that's a bit and then like with Us I was a bit like, oh, I wasn't sure how I felt. And then when I was doing like I like to read things like so I can put questions together and that, and I was reading it and I was like, this is such a genius film. Like honestly, I was like, yeah, genius. And even now, I still think that's a genius film.
It-
Like even now, and I would rewatch it just to pick up the little things as well. Definitely. Speed Ray Chick said about Brad Pitt, it was the eyes. Yeah, definitely. Matthew said, I just read in yours, Crawley, Elvira, that Brad Pitt auditioned for her movie, Mistress of Dark, and she didn't cast him because he was too beautiful. She did write yummy in the notes by his name. I love that. Melina said Brad Pitt really added momentum. His mania was so well depicted. Yeah. Claire said Brad Pitt in The Institution felt very chaotic, good. Like he seemed crazy and manic, but very clever, and there seemed to be a method in his madness. Oh, definitely. Matthew said putting in contacts is really suffering for your art. I don't know if I could do it. Hard passing putting anything in my eyes. Yeah, same. Oh no. Claire said, I love watching films as an adult that I watched as a kid and understanding subplots way more, like the whole pregnancy subplot in Dirty Dancing. Yeah, that's something that went way over my head when I was younger watching that. Matthew said, I'm doing a lot of rewatching these days. I'm about to turn 50. You only look 21, Matthew. I keep realising how many great movies I've seen over the years, safer than a lot of midlife crisis behaviours. Oh, dear. And then Matthew said, then others like Gilmore Girls and Rosemary's Baby. Rosemary's Baby is a comfort movie, Matthew.
There's a lot about Matthew.
I've seen 30 to 50 times over the years and keep going back. Wow. And
it's a gorgeous apartment.
That's what it is, yeah. Melina said rewatches at different points in your life can be interesting. Yeah, you get such a different perspective. Now, there's some questions. Obviously, I'm conscious of the time. So there's some questions that I want to ask just about the ending and see what you all think. So first off, did you enjoy the twist of the fact that the army of the 12 monkeys were just animal activists and were nothing to do with the virus? Josh, did you like that twist?
I did, yes. Because it really played around with your expectations in terms of Brad Pitt's character, who you meet in the psychiatric unit, and then when he comes back and you realise he's got connections with this sort of virologist who's his dad, and you kind of go, oh, okay, I know where this is going. And it doesn't go there at all. It does something completely different. So it's a very clever bait and switch.
I think that's what I remember from when I saw it at the cinema. I think I was shocked at the twist. I think that's what got me hooked on it. How about you, Emma? Did you like the twist?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that it led you down the garden path. Absolutely, because you're not really expecting a sci-fi to twist like that. I mean, obviously some do, but you're not really. You're kind of taking it on face value, aren't you? That, oh no, he said that in the institute, and now he's started the chain reaction. He hadn't done that at all, which is great. I thought that was a brilliant idea. Very, very cool.
Yeah. How about you, Beck? Did you like the twist?
Yeah, I loved it. Big animal lover, so I'm like, free animals.
Same.
But yeah, and I also like that Brad turned out to be a nice animal loving guy as opposed to a complete world destroying maniac.
But he was the perfect man in the end.
But do you think, like, because he does make a comment when Bruce Willis goes to like the mansion place when they're having the dinner party, he does kind of mention that, you know, Bruce Willis's character came up with the idea of the 12 monkeys and gave him the idea. So do you think, like, this is where I get confused with sci-fi. So has Bruce Willis changed that future, or was that always going to happen anyway? Like, Emma, explain to me.
Okay, so for me, I think that everyone is on different timelines. So I think there's lots of parallel universes. So I don't think there's just one timeline. So I think that I often, it's going to sound really woo-woo now, but I often feel like I jump timelines. So the Mandela effect, I think that is when you shift into a different timeline, then come back into your most comfortable one. And you can make all different decisions. Will like make like there's an Emma that had said a different decision, you know, and there's like hundreds of different decisions you could have made, and that Emma is playing out different ones, and it's going off in all these tangents. So I can get really like thinking about those things. But that's what I think. It's always meant to happen in that timeline, in that way. And even if he'd have stopped the guy, even if the team had stopped the guy, it's someone else would have done it. So it was always meant to happen in that timeline. So that's my theory.
Yeah, interesting. So what do you think, Josh? So if Cole did, I don't know how to word it because I'm like, my brain's like just going wild now. So like, if they had succeeded and killed the guy who released the virus, so do you think it would have stopped it, or would someone else have just done it? It's like set on that linear path to happen, maybe.
I don't know. I love Emma's idea. I find time stuff completely confusing.
I think that's why like my brain just goes.
Yeah.
You know, like that emoji, you're like.
I do like the idea that the virus is always going to get out no matter what. It just, the specifics will be different.
Yeah.
So he wafts the virus tube thing under the nose of that incredibly pushy security guy who wants him to open up all the very clearly scientific things. So even though he, in this timeline, hasn't necessarily created the widespread chaos that he clearly wants to, it might be more of a slow drip effect that gradually sort of crawls across the world. And I hadn't really thought any deeper than that, but I like Emma's theory that this specific timeline is always going to be leading in that one direction no matter what. That's really clever.
Yeah, I like that. How about you, Beck? Do you think if they caught the bad guy, like it would be different, or it would have just carried on regardless?
I'm not sure. I think it would have just happened. This timeline would have just happened the same regardless. But I wasn't sure whether Cole, as a young boy, seeing this happen, would then change it, or would it not? Because that was what confused me. Because there's two of them in the same place.
Yeah.
And that's where it got me a bit like, so could this happen? Could he now change the future or catch the guy before it even comes to that? But then at the beginning, he's just remembering it all, isn't he?
I do love that the guy kind of tells the kid to get out of the way, and if the kid had actually like knocked him over, then he would have stopped him as a kid rather than grown up. That's
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
that's clever. But like, because you've got young Cole, obviously seeing his older self die, like, no, I'm going to go all sci-fi here. I feel clever, but I can't. Like Emma and Kev both gave me this idea. So, would it not create a paradox? Oh, get me, Emma.
I think I'm going to go with the Back to the Future theory with this one, because we'd never know the answer to this because science doesn't know. Or at least I haven't watched or read anything that says science knows what exactly would happen if you time traveled and saw yourself in any situation. But I think he didn't know it was himself. So I think if he knew that was his older self, I think it might have imploded the universe. But because he didn't know, because the kid didn't know, and he didn't, and the older Cole didn't know that you know, any of that, because his memory was patchy, because of the time travel and the distortion and everything. I think it wouldn't create that. But I think if they had known, I think it might have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. I'm like nodding away. That really does make sense. I don't think I can add to that perfect answer, Emma, to be honest, because like that was a really good way to explain it. It helps my like non-sci-fi brain understand it. Definitely.
But surely if it is a paradox, it kind of rectifies itself because Bruce Willis is killed, so he doesn't exist for very long in the same space as his younger self. So if he hadn't been it's like there was no way that he wasn't going to be killed in that moment because he had to be. Otherwise, it would have created a paradox.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
See, this is what I like about films like this. It really makes you think, and like there's just so many different outcomes that the film could have, and I kind of like that. But maybe I am really a sci-fi fan. Maybe.
I feel like the replay is making this feel even more like it's actually something that really happened.
Yeah.
Delirious.
Oh, yeah. So obviously, originally, the ending was planned that the credits would roll when Catherine looks into young Cole's eyes. However, they added a couple of scenes at the end. I think they went backwards and forwards trying to decide what to do. And then, so one of the scenes is obviously the doctor from the future, or whatever she is from the future, sitting next to Dr. Peters, who's got the virus on the plane. So do you think that shows that Cole, by making that call before he got shot, did he actually, you know, solve the mystery for them and that's why she came? Or is this just meant to be some random meeting before, like, the virus escapes? Does that make sense? Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that moment because it's a shock to see her in the past. And I like her line when she says that she's insurance. Like, it's all very ambiguous, and you kind of you're kind of like, you're thinking, well, what did she go back because she can only trust herself now? She can't trust anybody else to actually do this last bit properly. Or, as Tom, my partner, said, is she there because she actually wants the virus to get out because they control the future?
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it could be anything. Really.
What did you think of that ending, Beck, with her being on the plane?
Yeah, I like the idea of thinking that it was her taking herself back to that point. Now she has this information that, you know, Bruce's character gained and stopping it. But yeah, now Josh has just said that. I'm like, that's also very interesting.
So many different theories, isn't there, really?
Yeah, and it's funny how that short little scene can just make you think so many different things of ways it could happen. So yeah,
especially as that scene wasn't originally planned to be in it as well. So you would have had a totally different thought of the ending if that wasn't there as well, which mind blowing. How about you, Emma?
I actually got something completely different from that. I didn't think that she'd gone back at all because she wasn't a dribbling mess like Cole. So I felt like she was sitting next to him and had no idea who she was sitting next to.
I did wonder that.
So that was that's what I gleaned from it. Yeah, that she didn't know that she was sitting next to him, and I felt it was interesting that she was insurance. Perhaps she was, because there would be no insurance against the virus like that. So she'd be out of business.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I love that. And obviously, like, it's meant to be set, the future side of things is meant to be 2035. It doesn't actually say that, but somewhere along the line we must have got that impression. Yeah, so that's only 10 years away from now. So what's going to happen in 10 years? Are we all going to be wiped out by a virus? I mean,
like 𝐒𝐻𝐞𝐜𝐤 says, now we all live underground.
Like, are we going to go 12 Monkeys style? Like, that's a scary thought, right? That was like only 10 years.
Yeah.
Gives me the shivers.
About it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on that timeline, just so you know. You can all hop on the timeline with me. That doesn't happen.
Yay! Oh, dear. Claire said, yes, I loved the twist, but wasn't surprised at who was to blame. Oh, okay. He did look shifty right from the start, didn't they?
Yeah, right from the book signing.
Yeah. Speed Ratchet said, not sure I like the fact it's nothing to do with the 12 Monkeys because the twist happened so quickly, then it ends. I wanted more. Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Matthew said, all the big beautiful animals popping up through the film and then realising how it plays into his dream at the beginning was a brilliant element of the film. Yeah, I love that. Sharon said, I love a paradox and parallels. So Speedway Chick said, so ultimately you can alter the future, or now you know who's responsible, do you go back again to stop it? Yeah. I mean, if he didn't get killed, right? But obviously the plan wasn't that he was going to get killed. This is where my mind just goes, woohoo!
Yeah, because wouldn't they have known he got killed, and why would they send him back?
So wouldn't they have known that was always going to happen? That I don't know. My mind's going now. I'm like, oh. Claire said he has already released the virus, and someone near the security when he did would have got on the plane and spread it. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. So a bit like, have you seen that film *𝐒𝐤𝐞𝐜𝐤𝐿?
Yeah.
A bit like that.
Which they insisted on showing on TV during COVID. It was so bizarre.
Oh,
yeah.
I know.
Lovely.
Yeah. Speedway Chick said, which film is it when the characters are in different parallels and can't get back to each other? Oh, I don't know on that one.
Ooh, I probably do know, but I can't think of the top of my head.
Ooh, maybe. No. I'm not sure. I'll have a think. Yeah, it does sound good. Sharon said, I think whatever anyone does, we are all in an apocalyptic cycle constantly heading towards this timeline's end. Yeah,
could
definitely. Matthew said, I love things with layers of time travel or different things happening in different realities, in the same in film or a book. Looking Glass sound by 𝐒𝐤𝐿𝐴. I've butchered that name. Uses it brilliantly. I haven't read that yet. I'm sure I've read one of her books though, but I definitely haven't read that one. Yeah.
I do.
But Matthew said it seems to drive a lot of people crazy about the book. Matthew said, I think she's there to make sure the virus gets out. So talking about the end, that's why she says she's in insurance. Oh, okay, yeah.
Good theory.
Melina said, yeah, I thought she was there for sinister purposes, Josh. And Speedway Chick said, okay, that last scene went straight over my head. Yeah, it just is one of them, like, it does make you think. So Sharon said, makes you wonder if the pandemic was a trial run.
Oh, gosh.
Matthew says, I'm afraid we, as in the human race, might be the virus that will wipe us out. Ooh.
Yeah, we are definitely a planetary disease, aren't we?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Speedway Chick said, one thing I couldn't grasp, why were the survivors treated like criminals and talk of reducing their sentences? Yeah, that's a point. Like, in the future, they were all treated like criminals, weren't they? It was obviously...
It was just the prison part of the underground. Yeah. Not that, like, just everyone was.
Yeah, I think it was a prison.
A track record, didn't they? They mentioned of, like, violence and stuff, so maybe it was something to do with that. And Speedway Chick says, Chelley, read The Last House on... That's the one I've read, Last House on Needless Street by 𝐒𝐤𝐿𝐴. I can't say her name, I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's the one I've read. There was something to do with a cat in that one, right? Yeah. From what I remember. That's why I probably remember it. Yeah. So just really quickly, just to wrap things up, obviously they created a 12 Monkeys TV series which ran for 4 seasons from 2015 to 2018, and I remember seeing a lot of praise for it at the time when it came out. But obviously it's a similar theme. Obviously James, a scavenger in 2043, has to travel back to 2015 to prevent the contagion of a deadly plague. And I saw that the brilliant Emily Hampshire plays the role that Brad Pitt plays, and now I'm really intrigued to watch it. So have you seen the TV series, Emma?
No, I never wanted to watch it. I thought the film was just so complete and such a masterpiece. I didn't want to go down that road, so I didn't watch it. So
interesting.
Yeah.
See, it's piqued my interest to watch it now. I'm like, I'm quite intrigued to see what they do with it, basically, or what they did with it. How about you, Beck? Have you seen the TV series?
No, I've never seen it. I completely forgot it existed, actually. But I mean, it must have been done okay for it to run for 4 seasons.
Yeah, because
So,
I think they did end it on their terms as well with the 4th series.
wasn't
So you
just
do get like a final. It doesn't just leave it open ended like most things nowadays when they get cancelled. They actually did the full run. Have you seen it, Josh?
No, I'd forgotten it existed as well.
Oh,
I would be intrigued to
okay.
know how quickly they get through the plot of the film, because
Yeah.
I have no interest in watching sort of like a reboot of the film for like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
They'd have to get it out of the way in the first couple of episodes, unless they did Emma's idea, which was a different timeline. That could be quite interesting.
Cool.
That could be interesting. I'm just intrigued to see how 𝐒𝐻𝐿 plays that role, Brad Pitt's role, because I think she'd be really good at it as well. I love 𝐒𝐻𝐿.
I don't know who she is.
𝐿's Creek she was in.
Okay.
I love Schitt's
Yeah.
Creek.
Yeah, I love it. It's brilliant. She was Stevie, wasn't she? And I was trying to think of the character name. Yeah, but she's such a good actress. She's brilliant. I love her. But guys, thank you. I know we've gone a little over the hour, but thank you for chatting. Like, I feel like that I could rewatch 12 Monkeys now and still think something different, which is the sign of a good film and a good chat, because you've made me think. You've given me lots of sci-fi recommendations.
Go watch The Matrix.
Which I'm so Matrix, Fifth Element. Yeah, I've got to be
Time Bandits
on my list. And Time Bandits. Yes, I need to write these down, otherwise my memory will forget.
Chelley,
But, yeah.
have you seen Terminator?
I've seen bits of Terminator, but I used to be, when I was younger, I was really, really scared of Terminator because my brother terrified. Well, you know what? My brother's famous on these chats, but one of these days when he's here, I'm going to bring him on. But
you get him on.
Yeah,
I want to meet him.
Do you remember the time you terrified me? But yeah, so he scared me that much. But I have seen Terminator 2 because obviously, you know, back in the day, Edward Furlong and all that, I was obsessed. So yeah, I have seen
same with me.
one. But I have to say, like, I can't say I understood it back then, but if I watched it now, maybe. So maybe I need to do a
compared
watch
to
of
12
those.
Monkeys, it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straightforward is good for me, I'll be honest. Oh, but thanks, guys. Thanks to Emma as well for helping me with the questions, because like I got myself all in a little pickle last night and I was like, I can't think, I've got 3 questions, I need some like brain food.
My pleasure.
Just chatting with Emma, you really, really helped me. I was like, oh yeah. So thank you very much. And do check out, Emma's got some short stories in these twisted tales, and they're very scary and will keep you up at night. And do check out Josh's book, Heads Will Roll, and Burn the Negative, and the Shadow Glass too, but I just couldn't pick it up as well, otherwise I'm going to drop it, so do check them out. And do check out Beck's Instagram page, and obviously the podcast as well. Beck watches, you watch so much horror, Bex, I'm not sure like how you fit it all in, but your reviews are really good, and you always just tempt me all the time to like watch more movies, basically. And thanks to everyone in the chat as well. Brilliant comments.
Everyone.
And I might go and watch the TV show now.
I might actually see it.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank
See you next week for Charm Chat.
Oh, yeah, see you next week for Charm Chat. See you later. Bye. Bye.